Hello, hello. It's Wednesday. That means we're going to do some Ask Jane today. I used to have this class that I teach once a month, and I just sent it to my list. But now that I have a Facebook group, I'm going to pull it in here into our group, and I'm going to be answering one question every week and running it through the model so that you can get a taste of coaching and learn the concepts a little bit and get you familiar with that. So look for this every Wednesday. I'm going to hopefully make that an ongoing thing. And if you have a question that you want answered, feel free to send that to me, and you might be spotlighted in one of my coming um, episodes, I guess we'll call it. So last time I had a question from Sammy, and Sammy, I apologize, it did not get to your question because we ran out of time, but I'm going to read her question to you, and then I'll go ahead and answer it so that you can have an idea of what this coaching thing looks like. So Sammy says, hello, I'd like to start working on not caring about what other people think of me. This is a very difficult concept for me, especially at work. Could you please help me find a thought that could help me get started in this area? Thank you. So Sammy, thanks for asking this question. It's such a good question. I mean, even people who have the greatest confidence have really cared at some point or another what other people think about them. It's totally normal. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just the way our brains are wired. We really want inclusion. We really want to be accepted. So for our caveman ancestors, this need to be accepted by the crowd was really literally a matter of life or death. It meant survival. It meant protection. We had much greater odds of eating, of fighting off tigers. If we had other people around us to help us, we could stay warm. We'd had community, right? So that's why it's so scary for us to feel isolated or to feel rejected. Our brains don't know that we're not in that type of danger anymore. So instead of looking for tigers, our brains are now on the lookout for things like judgmental coworkers or mean girls, right? So what happens when we're worried about other people and what they think of us is we try to control or manipulate the way that they think about us. Does that make sense? Like when we're afraid of what they think of us, we kind of show up in a creepy, weird way, like me, like me, like me, right? We don't act normally. We don't act like ourselves. We might say or do things in order to try to get them to like us. We try to manipulate them a little bit. We want to be accepted. And so we spend all of our time in their model, what they're thinking, feeling, acting, all that. We're spending all of our time over there in their model instead of staying here in our model. So I wrote your model out already. We're just going to pretend that this coworker's name is Susan. So we're going to put her in the circumstance line up here. So Susan at work, that's just your circumstance. She's just a person. That's your fact, right? You have the thought, I wonder what she thinks about me, right? And when you have that thought, you feel insecure. Insecurity is like I don't know how that feels in my body. Maybe just feels like small or just a lot of discomfort. I'm trying to think of where I feel that in my body. If I feel insecure, maybe somehow where here in my chest. Anyway, when you feel insecure, how do you act? So your action line is here. We like to beef up this action line so we can see what our result is. And so in your action line, you have things like, I spend a lot of time imagining what she might be thinking. Like I'm always focused on that. Or maybe I say and do things to get her to accept me. So maybe you're a people pleaser. Maybe you show up, you bring her treats, or you treat her differently somehow, or like just we show up differently with her, trying to get her to like us, accept us. We spend a lot of time in our head. We worry about how she sees me, and then we are really critical of ourselves. We spend a lot of time beating ourselves up, wishing that we were somehow different, right? And the result then is I don't focus on what I think of me. When my head is here and my thought is, I wonder what she thinks of me, I forget to worry about what I think of me. So just understanding what you're creating with that thought can be very helpful. But you did ask me for a new thought, so I'm going to give you a few of my favorites. This is really good for all of us. Um, One of the thoughts that I really like is what other people think of me is none of my business. I love that. It's so true. What anybody else thinks of me is none of my business. They can think whatever they want, right? Another thought that I really like is I could be the most beautiful, delicious, juiciest peach on the tree, and there will still be people who don't like peaches. It's totally fine. I'm not for everyone. I love that. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. I don't expect everyone in the world to like me. I don't find connection with everyone in the world. It's okay if they don't like me. When people have this concern, when my clients come to me with this concern and they are worried that someone is like them, I like them to get very specific because sometimes they will overgeneralize. They'll think something like, everyone at work thinks I'm weird, right? But when we really zone in, it's often just one person, maybe two people that they're thinking about. So we want to get really clear on exactly who it is we're thinking about so that we can let all the drama in our brain disappear. We can let all of that go. It's not everyone, it's maybe one person. And how many people are at my work, right? When we really hyper focus on that one person and what they might be thinking, we don't even notice all the other people who think we're amazing. And even more important, we believe what we think that they might be thinking about us rather than really owning and managing what we think of us. So the truth is, you think they think this thing of you because you likely thought it first. Sometimes when we think other people think we're weird, it's because we think we're weird. Or if we think other people think this of us, it's because we had that thought first. So once you clean up your own thinking about yourself, you'll be free of worrying about what other people think of you. So this is just a process that we're all going to likely work on over and over again in our lives because we run into those people that sometimes we feel uncomfortable around. But the reason we feel uncomfortable is because of our thoughts, not because of what they're thinking. So this is what your new model would look like. We're going to leave Susan there in the circumstance line. And we're going to give you the new thought. What Susan thinks of me is none of my business. What she thinks of me is none of my business. Okay? And then when I have that thought, what she thinks of me is none of my business, how does that make me feel? For me, it gives me maybe a feeling of freedom or a feeling of release. Let's just put freedom here, because when I don't have to worry about what's going on in her brain, I'm free to think of what I want to think of, right? So in my action line, when I'm feeling free, maybe I'm able to focus on my work. Maybe I can focus on loving all the things that make me awesome and unique. I can allow myself to be authentic. And I can attract people who are also authentic like me. If I'm not focusing on her and what she thinks of me, I'm actually able to see the other people around me who could be my friend, who could really have a good connection with me, right? So I will attract people like that for myself. When I have that thought, I focus on me, I focus on my work, and my result is that I take care of myself and I don't spend time in other people's models. And that's really what we want. We want to become really emotionally healthy. We want to be emotionally mature. We want to maintain our own thoughts and emotions and not be influenced by the circumstances or people that are around us. Okay. So you're not alone here, Sammy. I think there's a lot of people who'll see this who've experienced the exact same thing. So this is a really good question for all of us. So if you have a question and you want some coaching on it, feel free to submit that to me. Just email me at jane@janecopier.com. And of course, if you want some one-on-one help, feel free to schedule a call with me. Let's have a consultation and see if you're a good fit for my coaching program. All right, everyone, have a great day. Talk to you next week.